Good morning, everybody. I'm Reverend Rich Carlini, and I'm the minister at Unity Center of Davis, and welcome to our virtual service here at Unity Center of Davis this morning. We welcome you in the name and through the nature of that living Christ presence in each and every one of us. Where here at Unity, we honor the many paths to God and the many faces of God. And again, we welcome you in the warm and loving spirit that's come to be known as the Unity Movement. Please join us in our opening song, One Great Power.
There is just one presence, there is just one light, shining in the world like a beacon in the night. There is just one power we all can share, one great power everywhere, one great power, one. And the skies above, one great spirit waiting in prayer, one great power everywhere. There is one great power everywhere. There is just one purpose, there is just one spark, burning in our souls like a candle in the dark. There is just one chorus we all can sing, with one great power let it ring. One great power, one great love, big as the ocean and the skies above. One great spirit waiting in prayer, one great power everywhere. There is one great power everywhere. One great power, 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 one great power everywhere. There is just one presence, there is just one light, shining in the world like a beacon in the night. There is just one power we all can share, with one great power everywhere. One great power, one great love, big as the ocean and the skies above. One great spirit waiting in prayer, one great power everywhere. There is one great power everywhere. There is one great power everywhere.
Thank you, David Trolley. He's keyed up this morning, everybody. Look out. We got one great power everywhere. I have a couple announcements to make before I bring up our announcement person, who today is John Duffy. But first, I wanted to let you know a couple things. First of all, I wanted to thank each and every one of you who celebrated my birthday with me. Thank you for the flowers that you sent. They're beautiful. And just the cards and the messages and the Facebook notes. Thank you very much. It wasn't easy turning 50, and I'm glad you were all there to support me. Thank you. Don't look shocked, Julie Curry. And second of all, we will be having breakout groups today after the service. So, because that's new for us all, if you don't want to go in a breakout group and you're assigned to a breakout group, just don't go. And if you want to switch breakout groups, just come back to the main group and we'll put you in another breakout group. And then the last thing is, I don't know how many of you know this, but it's time that you do. Several weeks ago, maybe 2.5 weeks ago, the office from the church was broken into. And it was slightly ransacked, and we don't know if what was taken and what wasn't taken because we hadn't been in there for 5 months. But I wanted to let you know that we've made a decision to let go of the office for now, since we don't know when we'll be back to be able to get in person, and that's such a small space over there. So a couple things. If any of you have personal belongings in the office, please let Patricia Wright know before August 21st. All office furniture and office equipment is now available on a love offering basis. An email will be sent with pictures. So if you're interested in anything that you might be in the office, send an email to Patricia Wright and she'll send you pictures and let you know what's in there. And it's available for a love offering. And then all requested items must be picked up before August 28th. And any items not requested by congregants are going to be donated. And contact Patricia if you would like to look at anything. And I'll be up there a week from Friday as we're handing some of that stuff out so we can social distance and wave at each other too. And now, John Duffy, the announcements, please. John Duffy's going to unmute. There he goes.
Could you all read my lips?
No.
Thank you very much for that kind of introduction, Reverend Rich. It is my pleasure to present our announcements today. And let's start with a verbalization of our vision, the vision for Unity Center of Davis. Together, a world transformed by divine love. And oh my goodness, how do we express that vision? We do it through our mission statement. Together, we radiate that divine love through prayer, spiritual enrichment, joyful connection, and sacred service. My goodness.
At this time, let us take a shift into a prayerful mode, opening our hearts and becoming presence. And let us take this moment to bring to mind anyone who is on your heart or mind this morning for prayer, to include them in this prayer of transforming power of love. You can either speak their name silently or aloud. So let's take that moment of silence.
Burrell,
Joanne,
Lourdes,
Alice,
Dawn, Katie, Andy,
Linda,
Les,
James,
Nathan, Max, Jerry, and Zach, Cynthia,
Trudy, Dennis,
Beth,
Well,
Pat,
Leon, and Casey, Aiden,
Sally,
Tiago,
Julie,
And now, with these souls and our world in mind, let us send a unity blessing. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold God's love as you. Amen. And now let us prepare for meditation.
The greatest thing in all my life is knowing you. The greatest thing in all my life is knowing you. I want to know I want to know you more. The greatest thing in all my life is knowing you. The greatest thing in all my life is loving you. The greatest thing in all my life is loving you. I want to love you more. I want to love you more. The greatest thing in all my life is loving you. The greatest thing in all my life is serving you. The greatest thing in all my life is serving you. I want to serve you more. I want to serve you more. The greatest thing in all my life is serving you.
It's Sunday, August 16th, the year 2020, and our greatest joy is knowing and loving and serving that spirit deep within us and encompassing all creation. Oh, what a blessing. And so I invite you right now to seize this moment, a respite from thinking about the past or the future. And to pay attention to your breath, not to change it or control it, simply notice it. Notice how constant it is. It comes and it goes and it comes again, always, continually. And this being a moment to acknowledge how precious this life is, to actually be able to pay attention to this here and now, this kind of island of time, this island of calm, and to see if we can fully occupy it. And so again, we notice a few more deep breaths, easy breaths, no control, no tension. Simply the inhalation and the exhalation. And we become aware of any sensations we might have. Nothing to push away, nothing to grab towards us, simply to be here. Perhaps there's tingling, pressure, the temperature, movement, whatever appears. Simply, open-mindedly allow it and notice. For truly, truly, there is nowhere to go and nothing to do. Simply the privilege of being here now. For this is a kind of mind training, a path to greater ease, greater peace of mind. For truly, as we are able to notice the distraction and let it come and go as the breath, not trying, not wondering how I get better at this, simply to be. And perhaps as a thought comes, see if you can notice it and notice how it simply dissolves into time. Letting go of self-condemnation, realizing everything is in its own place. And everything is all there is in each moment. And isn't everything enough? Let's take a few moments in the silence. In the silence. In the silence. Now gently, lovingly, mindfully, compassionately, we bring our conscious attention, return to this here and this now. Realizing that there is no difference between mindful attention, meditation, mindfulness, and the rest of our lives. And as we move into these transitions from being quiet and within to being with each other, there's no separation, there's no difference. And as we go throughout this day, we remember this. As we remember it, no pushing, no grabbing. There's nothing available in this session that isn't available every moment of your life, of our lives. There's always just consciousness. We allow our eyes to open and we say, thank you, sweet spirit. Thank you, Mother, Father, God. Thank you, oh great one, the one that we know and love and serve. For truly, 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 we are all one. And so it is, and amen.
Well, good morning. My song to you all this morning is, kind of sheltered around the outside world and how we look at it, and how grateful I am that Spirit talks to us to stay, wide open to all of the possibilities of love flowing through us, of God living through us. So I hope you enjoy this. Sorry, so sorry. One more button to push. That happens sometimes. Okay, I think we're ready. Bustling world, racing time, illusions on the outside cloud my mind. Well, I am wide open to the changing world I see, to the awakening of humanity, to the truth of unity. I can change my thoughts, change my mind, find a quiet place inside where peace and love abide. Pray for higher guidance, just ask for what I need. I hear the voice of Spirit urging me to be wide open like a great and mighty sea, wide open to the love that flows through me, wide open to all possibilities, wide open to the God that lives in me. The universe, it's good, it's always on my side, and love and peace and gratitude will always be my guide. I can change my thoughts, I can change my mind, find a quiet place inside where peace and love abide. Pray for higher guidance, just ask for what I need. I hear the voice of Spirit urging me to be wide open like a great and mighty sea, wide open to the love that flows through me, wide open to all possibilities, wide open to the God that lives in me. The universe is good and always on my side. And love and peace and gratitude will always be my guide. I'm wide open like a great and mighty sea. I'm wide open to the love that flows through me. Wide open to all possibilities. I'm wide open to the God that lives in me. I'm wide open, wide open, wide open.
Oh, thank you, David. That was beautiful and very timely for me, for sure. Because I've gotten to be wide open to this idea of the 12 powers. When Reverend Rich told me that's what we would be exploring these 2 weeks, I realized I had a lot of resistance to this because when I was in the ministerial training, I did not relate to this idea. It seemed like an artificial construct to me, these 12 arbitrary powers. They could have been other things. And it just seemed very structured, and there was a color and a month, a year, and a disciple. But what finally clicked for me was this idea of the energy centers in the body, that each power connects with an energy center in the body. And Rich and I talked about this, and he graciously agreed to work them that way, to begin at the top with faith, and then what he called the bottom 6. I've got the bottom 6 to talk about with you today. So the 12 powers is a construct. It's something that Charles Fillmore channeled or became aware of, wrote a book, but others have written books as well about the 12 powers. There are 12 gifts, 12 powers, 12 aspects. And so I just want to go over those top 6 before we get to the bottom 6. Just as, and just find these places in your body, if you can, energetically, and cycle over them. So the first power is really faith. And the definition of faith, and faith is really kind of the inside and top of the head. And I don't memorize a whole lot of things, and at this point, I don't remember a whole lot of things. But Charles Fillmore's definition of faith is so powerful to me. It's the ability. Let's see now. The perceiving power of the mind. The perceiving power of the mind linked with the ability to shape substance. I just think that is so high and mighty, so beautiful. The perceiving power of the mind linked with the ability to shape substance. And that's sort of the main one, the faith. And then we have our will and understanding. Will is the left side of the brain, understanding is the right side. We want to be willing, not willful. We want to use our spiritual, faith-filled understanding to live in our world. And in the middle of the head is our imagination, which of course links with that perceiving power of the mind to create that substance. In the middle of our head is imagination. And then we have zeal. That getting pulled back by the scruff of your neck, the way a kitten or a dog will pick up their young and just lead them around. It's that zeal that just propels us forward and upward. And finally, the last of the top 6 is power. And that power is the root of the tongue inside here, that power that we use with our words. And whether we're able to speak or not, we still have that power center. I'm thinking of my husband, Hal, and others. A good friend of ours, a colleague who recently had a stroke and can't speak yet, but that power is still propelling her forward. Hal working through a few years of his aphasia to be able to speak. Now, I'm trying not to drink too much. We're going on a road trip right after the service, and I don't want to have to stop, so I'm just going to wet my mouth here, not swallow anything. So we can just head right up there. So today we begin with, we're going to talk about the power of love, the power of wisdom, judgment, discernment, the power of strength, order, renunciation or elimination, and life. And we'll go through that. So again, as I wanted to be a good student, I looked through some of the books I had, and it was like, this is not, there's too much going on in my life every day. I've got to find a different way to deal with this that I can really embody. And I have to say something about working with all of you, and I love that I get to see you. This congregation particularly, I really have to do my homework. I can't like call it in. In other places, I feel like I pull something up I've used before, but I just can't seem to do that with you, which is a testament to you, but it also shows how intimidated I am by your spiritual prowess, all of you there in Unity Center of Davis. So I just have to keep remembering that spirit is at work, always in me, and that I will know and it'll work out, because it does. It always does. And so as I was, meditating and embodying these powers myself, I found myself thinking of particular people that I felt embodied these powers. And I actually made up index cards and put them on my dresser. And I found I put a newspaper article over here and a note over there, and just kind of moved it around to get to, something I felt that I had that I could share with you that was meaningful for me and hopefully also meaningful for you. So after quite a bit of agonizing, we begin with the power of love. And love is located, this power, behind the heart. Now, how many of us actually live in our back body? We're just always coming forward and doing it this way. But that power of love that's behind the heart, just as I say that, see if you can relax into what is your back body, whether you're sitting up straight or reclining. Get that sense of that space behind your heart, that back body place. And just let go into that and notice how that might, for me, it expands my torso. It makes me feel more at peace, more at one. I can settle down into myself more. Charles Fillmore called love the pure essence of being, a kind of cosmic glue, a great harmonizer and healer. Love sees good everywhere and in every person. And we have that to embody. And sort of my favorite manifestation of love is really Martin Luther King, because there's some of the things he said that were so powerful for me. And as well as I reflect, some of you might have, as I did, watch the John Lewis funeral, which was so powerful and such a manifestation, again, of love and love and consciousness. So a few things Martin Luther King said about love. At the center of nonviolence stands the principle of love. Now, John Lewis went to Nashville as a young man to study the power of nonviolence with a mentor of his named, I don't remember his first name, but it was Lawson. And if you haven't had a chance to listen to that part of the funeral service, that was incredibly, but here's this old guy barely making it up to the platform. And then he just was, that's what I remember most, and I've saved that in my computer. At the center of nonviolence stands the principle of love. He also said, I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. Again, these are things that Martin Luther King Jr. said. And then, this is why right, with an R, this is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. Right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. What a preacher he was. And love being the only force capable of transforming the enemy into friend. And my absolute favorite, and this is what I live with, is love. I've decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. And so from this place behind our heart, this love area, we move down to the solar plexus. That's full of all sorts of nerve endings. And the back of that, I think of as our, it's where the bottom ribs come in, and that energy that goes right through from the solar plexus, again, into the back body and relaxing into it. And I think about the back body because my good friend Susan teaches a class that she calls embodied wisdom. So this is the center of wisdom, the center of discernment, the center of judgment. I like the word discernment because that is when I know to say yes and when I know to say no. Very powerful place. So see if you can, notice if you can fill yourself up from the solar plexus area also into your back body. And Susan referenced in something she'd sent out, a larger than life sculpture of Prometheus on a corner in Paris. It's a sculpture by and Prometheus, the Greek god of fire, the great trickster. This sculpture was created by Osip Zucchini, and it displays what is called organized chaos in human form. And some of you might know this sculpture, but it's really like larger than life person, but you can see it's kind of like Picasso-like, all those different angles and differing energies, but they're together. They're together. And Susan talked about that as a dancer, she learned to love dissonance in music and movement and form, that finding center was an excuse to fall off of center over and over again and to come back to center. And even in movement with other people, with other dancers, even bumping into them, mimicking really life itself. And so these tools of embodiment, these tools of what to say yes, what to say no, that wisdom and discernment, these practices to restore ourselves to our innate wisdom, our innate judgment, our innate discernment in body, mind, emotions. It's so crucial at this time, knowing that we're not alone in our chaotic nature, and knowing that may or may not be helpful. So in these current times, we're living way off center, so to speak, and we're experiencing chaotic states and circumstances over and over. And so we need to, through this place, this solar plexus place, inhibit our innate, embody our innate wisdom and discernment, judgment. And then we move around to our home of strength. That's really like the lower back, the loins, your buttock muscles, those really strong muscles that propel us forward. And what I came to sort of meditating and being with strength was, I was thinking about the quarantine, because the word quarantine comes from Phoenician language, and it means 40 days. And it was first used during the Black Death epidemic in the 14th and 15th century. And it designated a period of time that ships were required to be isolated before the passengers and the crew could go ashore. And descriptions of 40-day quarantines occur repeatedly in the Old Testament, in the Hebrew Bible, as well as in the New Testament. That's when Jesus went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, where he was driven and led. And when they do occur, these quarantines, these 40-day and 40-night periods, they're virtually always momentous and life-altering. In the story of the flood in the book of Genesis, Noah self-isolates with his family in a wooden ark for 40 days and 40 nights. In the book of Exodus, Moses separates himself from the Israelites for the same period of time and ascends Mount Sinai to put even more distance between himself and his people who've committed idolatry by creating a golden calf. And in the harrowing part of his life, the prophet Elijah flees into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights and secludes himself in the cave, where he waits for his fear to subside and for God to send him a message. Now, none of these 40-day quarantines were compulsory, rather than the result of external coercion. These biblical stories, these myths, these examples of isolation can be understood as a thoughtful expression of inner strength, of free choice, of going where you know you absolutely have to go. And something happens to these biblical figures after their periods of seclusion and social distance that comes to an end. Once the crisis has passed and they emerge from their respective shelters, they are transformed. Moses, Noah and his family begin to repeople the earth. Moses returns with the 10 Commandments. Elijah has this epiphany and experience of God, not in the earthquake and not in the fire and not in the whirlwind, but in a still, small voice. Jesus leaves the wilderness ready to begin his radical healing, justice created ministry. So, of course, 40 days and 40 nights is not a particularly literal representation of time. I mean, it took 40 years for the Israelites to wander around a place the size of New Jersey to find the promised land. It probably didn't take that long, except probably somebody didn't want to ask for directions. So it's really how long it takes to gather the spiritual strength needed to complete whatever gestation is happening. What is happening in you right now, in your 40 days and 40 nights? What is growing and evolving? I loved hearing about baby Hope, who was born on St. Patrick's Day. You know, what a time to be born, right at the beginning of this era of epidemic, of pandemic. So within me, within you, to get a new perspective, to gather our inner strength and ourselves and our world through these gestation, these quarantines, to have a new earth, a new perspective, a new earth, as Eckhart Tolle talks about. And so we move from our buttocks and our lower back around to the area behind your navel, your gut that just knows what it knows, the center of order. You know, before Nelson Mandela was sentenced, banned from public life, and then subsequently imprisoned for 27 years, before being released and elected to the presidency, he spent many years as an attorney in South Africa, fighting for freedom and justice for the people indigenous to his country. And the government very vocally considered any dissent to the disturbance of order to be a huge crime. So the African National Congress, the ANC, gained momentum with many Africans and allies demonstrating civil obedience. The government responded by passing these horrid legislations to declare martial law, detain protesters, impose corporal punishment, perhaps not unlike what's happened recently, Lafayette Square, Chicago, and Portland. This disturbance of order, and how orderly, you know, that fine line, what order is, when it's like, you know, this overwhelming pushing down of what we know. And so the power of order, this divine idea of adjustment, you know, in our bellies, in the pit of our stomachs, behind the navel, the place that churns and digests and churns some more. And once the adjustment is accomplished, the digestion complete, the nourishment and the nutrients extracted and absorbed into the bloodstream, also through the large intestines, it's time then for the elimination, for renunciation, for letting go, letting go, letting go. And that, of course, is the lower intestines, the colon, the rectum, those areas of the body that just release that which is no longer needed. All the good stuff has been released into the rest of the body, and the waste, that which is no longer needed, let's go. We talk about denials and affirmation. That's really that elimination and the next power, which is life. And so we certainly have an opportunity to practice this one these days, don't we? Whether it's your job, being with your family, your favorite restaurant, letting go, letting go, letting go, the U.S. Postal Service, getting your mail, getting your ballot. We're being forced to let go of so much. And we are the lucky ones. We know that. Where we live, what's available to us, what we're growing in our gardens and our neighbors and friends are growing. We have enough. And those of us that don't have enough, we reach out to our community. Everything we let go of, except that which is truly and really you and me, the I am, the soul of us. Our oneness with this organic, ever-present, cosmic, divine coherence, everywhere present, that never changes. And it's through our practices. I mean, for me, I've just gotten, you know, after years of practice and prayer and meditation and being so thick in my head, that it's all right here, right now. I let go and I let go. I let go of those judgments. I let go of those attachments. I let go of thinking I'm supposed to be a different way. More than that, thinking other people are supposed to be a different way. And I can tell you about that because I know that I know that I know. And we move to the center of life, the reproductive organs, the genitals, that place just at the bottom of us. See if you can just settle that. We've settled our heart. We've settled our solar plexus. We've settled the back body, our areas of strength in our loins and back and butt, our stomach. And now we just let go even further into the seat, the area of life. Now, a couple of weeks ago when I spoke, I talked about Viktor Frankl, who was a Holocaust survivor and wrote the famous book, Man's Search for Meaning. But I also talked about this new book that was just published in English called Yes, in Spite of Everything. And I want to just read something from that. He wrote, "We can fulfill the demands of existence, not only as active agents, but also as loving human beings. In our loving dedication to the beautiful, the great, the good, should I perhaps try to explain for you some hackneyed phrase, how and why experiencing beauty can make life more meaningful? I prefer to confine myself to the following thought experiment. Imagine, and so imagine with me, imagine that you are sitting in a concert hall listening to your favorite symphony. And your favorite bars of the symphony resound in your ears, and you're so moved by this music that it sends shivers down your spine. And now imagine that it would be possible, something that is psychologically so impossible, for someone to ask you in this moment whether your life has meaning. I believe you would agree with me," he writes, "if I declared that in this case, you would only be able to give one answer. And it would go something like this. It would have been worth it. It would have been worth it to have lived for this moment alone. For this life, for this juicy, delicious, filled with everything life, everything in one moment." Now, there's a new book out by Isabel Wilkinson. I think I've mentioned her before because I loved her book, The Warmth of Other Suns. But she's written a new book called Caste, The Origins of Our Discontent. And it's so perfect for right now. And she defines caste. And by the way, she did some traveling. She traveled in India. She traveled and did some research and found out that Adolf Hitler had actually studied our system of slavery and racism and thought it was way too severe for what he wanted to put in place. So put that in your bonnet. Anyway, she defines caste from her book, Caste, The Origins of Our Discontent. This is such a great time for us to really unhook, isn't it? And to see where we've come from and what we've created and that we can restart our world. It's a very powerful place. She defines caste as the granting or withholding of respect, status, honor, attention, privileges, resources, benefit of the doubt, and human kindness to someone on the basis of their perceived rank or standing in the hierarchy. What some people call racism could be seen as merely manifestation of the degree to which we have internalized the larger American caste system. And so the last sentence in her book, which I want to use as the last sentence for this power of life, the last sentence in the book says, "A world without caste would set everyone free." And so let us embrace and live out our 12 gifts, our 12 powers, our 12 energy centers, our freedom through our faith, our will, our understanding, our imagination, our power, our zeal, our love and wisdom and judgment, discernment, our strength, our order, renunciation, elimination, and life. And so shalom, namaste, l'chaim, to life. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Sonya. Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for telling us about the bottom half of the 12 powers. And now it's time that we celebrate our donations, the law of giving and receiving. And we stop and we say, thank you very much for the gifts that you've given already, electronically or by check. Any of you who are making your monthly pledges, thank you so much. And on the screen, you can see that if you want to make a love offering to Unity Center of Davis, we truly appreciate it. You can go to our website and click on giving, and it will take you right to the source of receiving your love offering. Hard for me to get that out. And so please join me in our offering blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now, David Trolley, our peace song, please.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. The power of God protects us. I am that power. And the presence of God watches over us. I am that presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a wonderful week. Bring your 12 powers into this current moment and use it and enjoy it. Thank you for being here with us. We'll break into, if everybody would like to unmute themselves. Thank you, David Trolley and Reverend Sonya.
Yay!
Thank you. Wasn't that a good talk by Reverend Sonya?
Excellent.
Absolutely fabulous.
Perfect.
Oh,
So good. Thank you, Reverend Sonya.